Hey gang, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to start installing our recessed lights in our new kitchen ceiling. So this morning we went over it. We went over the light locations with the owners, and let me just walk you through how we do it. So to us, when you're standing working at a counter, you don't want your source of light behind you because it'll cast a shadow on the counter. So we like to have the main light source in front of us. I say main light source because to us, under cabinet lights are secondary lighting. Your primary lighting is going to be our LEDs in the ceiling. So we actually like to have the center of the light at the center of the edge of the counter. So let's go over here, Jordan. We actually used our lasers to establish our lines. We got a new Bosch cross line level.
Yeah, we did.
We'll talk about that more later. We'll show you the model number and everything later. But this thing's nice. It can tilt and everything. So that establishes this line on the ceiling, which is the center of this cabinet. We don't just place the lights randomly. They always line up with something. And in this case, they line up here. So there's a line on the ceiling. And then we used our PLS 5 dot laser to transfer the location from here to the ceiling. We put an X. And that's our first light. And we came over here to the island. The center of our drawer is the next light location. So we transferred that. And then the center of this drawer is that light. So if you don't have lasers, plumb bobs, chalk lines, a dry line, which is a chalk line without chalk, you just stretch it, tape measures. You can do a lot with a plumb bob. We used to do that all the time before we had lasers. Transfer that to the ceiling. It's quick and easy. And then on this side, we have one over the sink. It's actually set a little further back towards the window. We have one right here in the corner. One here that lines up with this one.
Right.
And then our one for the refrigerator, which lines up with this one. Now a lot of that's depending on your cabinet layout. You can put them wherever works at your house. Over here in the dining room, our line is right here at the face of this cabinet, at the face of this cabinet, and then I think we're 28 inches off of here and that wall.
Yes, sir.
Something like that. And I think in some homes, it's okay to walk in a house and have all the lights in a row. Here we broke it up a little bit. We didn't want it to look like a runway, in other words. So I think it's about time to start drilling some holes. But first I want to show you this. I do have an old adjustable hole cutter. It just has a single cutting tooth on it. What I found was it works great on drywall only. But these new puck lights, since they're so thin, you can actually put them wherever there's a joist. And we actually have a joist running right down the middle of these three. This single tooth will catch on this stud, and I've actually broken a tooth on here, not here. So we're going to use a hole saw to cut these with a vacuum. One last tip. It is hard to be on a ladder and to line that pilot bit up with my mark. So I'm going to pre-drill that hole, and then it's easy to insert that in our pre-drilled hole and finish with the hole saw. All right, we have our 7 holes drilled. That was super easy. You've got to have a handle on your drill, otherwise that bit will tear this out of your hands. We had one little area here This is the structural joist. We thought this was some of our blocking for the patch where the old hood used to go through the ceiling, but it's not. That is dimensional lumber. Whenever I say dimensional lumber, that's a 2x4, 2x6, 2x8, something like that. This is the structural one because we can see it over here. If I'm remembering right, this is where they hung the old soffit for the cabinets. So let's go in the attic and check that out. We're back in our favorite place.
Thought you said this. We weren't coming up here again.
Well, I did say that. Well, I guess I meant framing.
Right.
This is electrical. It's a different category, so
Sure.
that doesn't count.
Sure. Watch your head on those nails.
Yes. So what we're doing, we're just running our 14 gauge wire for our lights. So this was our first one. This one that my hand is on right here, this was our switch leg that the electricians threw up here from the switch. So there's our first light. We ran out to the one over the fridge. The middle one, the corner, caught the kitchen sink, and now we're over here. So we got a little issue. We ran into this 2x4 nailer, which is what the original contractor used to nail his cabinet soffit to. This is structural. This is not. In fact, this ends, I don't know if you can see it.
It ends down there.
Right here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use our buzzsaw and make a plunge cut and get rid of it there, and I got to get rid of it here. Then we'll be able to run these two wires and get out of here.
Yep.
Let's get it done. All right.
Nice.
Awesome. What a lifesaver.
Yeah, really.
So here's our hole. So we just have to run this wire into these two, and we'll get out of here and go hang some lights.
All right.
Whew, back out of that attic.
Thank God.
Cooled off.
Right.
Now that it's raining Romex in here, we're ready to wire. But before we show you how we do that, I want to talk a little bit about these puck lights and the feature that you can put them where there's a joist. So we drilled 7 holes, 6 of them hit one of these. So let's go around and I'll show you real quick. See, on this one, we'll have a clamp right here on this side and a clamp on that side. Actually, that's the case for all 3 of these. We're going to straddle the joist like that with our clamps. This one, we're more like this situation. So the clamps will be like that on the right-hand side of that joist.
Right.
These two are the same, we just barely hit them. On the 6-inch version of this, no matter where you hit a joist, you can put that light. On the 4-inch version, that is not the case.
And we're using the 4-inch.
Correct. So this will go anywhere here. And in this direction, it'll go till it hits these springs. It's hard to describe, but there is a section, there is a placement that this will not work. We checked it out ahead of time and knew that we could either straddle the joist or be on one side of the joist. If this were a can light, we would have had to move all those to make room for the can and the bracket and all that. So these
Can lights are a little outdated though, huh?
They are, yep. So we love these. So let's get into wiring this. Now we've put in a bunch of these, probably what, 3 dozen at that other house? And they've actually changed the design.
They have changed the design.
This is much smaller. So it makes it harder to wire for me. So this brand comes with integral wire clamps. It also has a knockout if you prefer, but we love these. So there's a slot. Just remove that. And these are only rated for 1 cable each. In other words, 1 cable going in, 1 cable going out. If you had more cables than that, you would have to use a knockout. But we try, all these have 2 cables. And this is so small, I would hate to put 3 cables in there. So we take that out, strip the wire. And you'll push it into that clamp just like that. We're going to strip it, and then these come with the unit, and it's just push to connect. They're clear. You can actually see the wire, and it bottomed out. There's the neutral. There's the hot. And what you don't want a shiner. A shiner is bare conductor showing right here. You want insulation all the way up into that fitting. And we're just going to do one right now for demonstration purposes. And when you put that in there and you close the cover, then the wire can't come back out that way. And then here's your switch for your 5 different levels of CRI. And that's it. So I'm going to disconnect this one and let's get all those others installed.
All right.
All right, gang. One more to install, but we realized that this box, even though they made it microscopic in size, won't fit in here. So we wire them up down here, push it into the attic. So I'm going to go in the attic and wire that up. And then one more thing, they do come with straps. So we're going to go in there later, attach that, and attach this to the blocking. So I'm going to run up in the attic, hook this one up, and then we'll come back down and put in our dimmers. All right, guys, ready to put in the dimmer. This is a dimmer approved for LEDs. This is it. It's a Lutron Diva CL, and it's suitable for LEDs, dimmable, compact fluorescent lights, halogens, and incandescents. So when we did our rough wiring, I left 3 grounds. The electricians left 3 grounds for me. That way, if the switch had a ground screw, we had a ground wire for each one of those screws, because we didn't know at the time what kind of device we're going to be putting in here. Since we know now that all of the dimmers have a ground pigtail, I don't need 2 of these. So I'm going to cut them off.
Ooh, less wires in the box.
Yep, always a good thing. So grounds first. That's our habit, remember? Hook up the ground first and disconnect it last. This is a 3-way capable switch. The red with the white stripe is going to be one of your travelers. We don't need it, so it is capped off. So we're left with the black and a red from the switch. This is 120 volts coming in. Power is off at the panel. And that's it.
All right.
Put it in the box. And we will make this nice and neat later when we put in the other 2 switches for the dining room. These do have a top and the bottom.
Where does it show that? On the metal?
See that?
Oh, yes, it's up. Yep.
Yep. Turn them on, bud.
All right, we're going full brightness. Here we go. That's awesome. Woo!
Sweet.
Nice.
Yep.
Sweet. So why don't you talk about these fins?
All right. So when a dimmer dims a light, it generates heat. And this is a heat sink to dissipate the heat. Now I can remember as a kid, you could touch the cover plates and they would be warm because this would get so hot. It talks about derating right here in the instructions. So if I had another one here, I would have to remove these 3 tabs and the corresponding 3 tabs on the middle switch. So if I'm in a single gang box and I have all the tabs, now this one was gone out of the package. We're good for 600 watts. If I remove 3, it's good for now 500 watts. And if I remove, when I say 3, I mean 1, 2, 3. If I remove both sides, now I'm only good for 400 watts. So if I had 10 60-watt incandescent bulbs that this was dimming, that's the maximum I'm allowed with this dimmer. You can get bigger ones. But if I derate it, now it's only good for 500 or 400 watts. So you have to be careful. Now we're LEDs and they pull like 6 watts each, so it's not a concern. And in fact, it says here, maximum wattage ratings are not affected when using only's underlined, LEDs or CFLs. Sometimes maybe you'll have 6 lights that are incandescent and 4 that are LED on the same dimmer. You have to add up all the wattage and make sure you're within the rating of the dimmer. Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right. It sounds like something that you might not have to worry about if you're using LEDs or unless you're wiring up like a huge building.
Right.
But it's just good to know.
Right. All right, gang. We had the kitchen lighting complete. Looks great. All that's left is the dining room lights and the office lights. So we'll catch those tomorrow and we'll see you then. Hey gang, it's the next day. We have 8 more of those lights to install. We're gonna drill the holes, run the wires, and get it done. So let's go. Hey bud, I'm all down from the attic.
Awesome. I'm just getting these wires prepped for you real quick.
I thought you'd be done by now.
Me too. I actually, we ran into an issue where it only happened once down there in the kitchen, but here it happens in all 4 lights. The problem is that this box is actually hitting the joist when we're trying to shove it in through the hole.
All right.
Yeah, so if you had a 6-inch hole, these are 4 inches. This hole is actually 4 1/8. If you had a 6-inch hole, you could probably get it in there no problem. Fortunately for us, we're able to get into the attic and we are able to wire this up there. If you had a 2-story house with a finished floor above you where you could not access the attic and wire this up there, you would have to account for that in your light layout. So you would probably have to move it over. I mean, if this was a problem, we would only have to move it like maybe an inch or 2.
An inch, yep.
So it's not that bad,
right.
But just something that you got to take into account while you're wiring these up.
Good tip. So I guess I'm going back in the attic.
We can go back in the attic.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'll provide moral support.
All right. All right, guys, we're down from the attic. We got these LEDs installed in the dining area, and now we're moving on to the office. And then in here, see, we have plenty of room to push the driver in from down here, so we won't have to go in the attic to wire that.
Woo!
The way this room is wired, there was no ceiling fixture. The switch controlled a half hot. Now here, a half hot is a receptacle. It's actually over there where half of it is hot all the time and the other half is switched. And typically, in a lot of homes, the ground will be up to indicate that that is a half hot receptacle. But we're going to use this switch to control the lights, and we're going to convert the half hot to a regular receptacle. All we got to do is this is the switch leg going to the receptacle. We'll just tie these 3 together. We'll come off with a jumper to power our new switch. And now we're gonna run a cable up to power our lights.
All right, come in here and show them how we're gonna do that.
All right. So we're gonna use our push rods to run that wire. Some people call these glow rods because they glow in the dark. Mine are the Jameson brand. And what happened to mine, I lost the bullet catch. The bullet point end. There's the hook end, and it is 832 threads. So I just bought an 832 eye bolt and screwed it in there.
Good thinking.
And on this one, I actually bought a threaded magnet from McMaster-Carr and put it on a stud right there. So we're going to push this fish tape up from the switch with this little chain. We'll push this down from the attic. It'll grab the chain and we'll pull it into the attic. That's the plan, so let's see if it works. All right, gang, that almost worked. We could see the chain on the magnet, but it fell off, and when I went to go get it again, I dropped the glow rod in the wall. So now
gone.
So now instead of fishing for wires, we're going fishing for my glow rod. So we're going to cut a hole up here and get it out of the wall and patch. So the deal with this switch is there are barn doors that go here. And since we started this, we decided to put the switch on the other side of the wall because you wouldn't be able to access this switch with a barn door here. So we're going to cut a hole for this box, an old work box on this side. We'll cut that hole, get our glow rod out, and move these wires to the other side. Let's get it done. Here it is.
Nice.
Well, now that we have this nice hole cut here, we can use it to run wires.
That's true.
So I've gotten fish tapes stuck in walls before, and they're so cheap, you just cut the end off and leave it. They're not worth going to get, but I need this. So Jordan got in the attic and fed down another piece of 14-2. This will be our switch leg for our new office lights. So come over here, Jordan. So there's the back of that old, I call them bake light boxes. So we're going to get it out of our way. I've already disconnected the wire nuts on the other side. They usually pull out of the studs. Yep, just like that. All right, that's out. We'll just bring our wires to this side. All right, gang, that's the end of our LED lighting. We installed 15 4-inch LED pucks. This room never had an overhead light, and look what a difference it made.
Yeah, it's awesome in here.
Yep, and in here, all we have left in the dining room is a chandelier over the table. And in the kitchen, we have our under cabinet lighting, but that'll be a wrap on the ceiling lighting for today. We hope we showed you some good tips and tricks in this. Be sure to hit that like button for us if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and tomorrow we start
Tiling.
tiling.
Yeah, we're gonna knock this flooring out.
Yep, so we'll see you on the next one.
Yes, sir.